Hello, bonjour, and welcome to your new Bonheur Private Wines video. I'm guessing you, like I, have been released to the market a few years ago. It seems like yesterday, really, that we were turning 20, right? But let's say that we've matured a little since. So you and I know that people get better with age, as we have, and hopefully this process will of course continue for a while for us. Touch wood. But is it the same for wine? It is a common saying that wine gets better with age, but is it actually true? How, which, what, when? Beyond the answer to this simple question, which is one of the most commonly asked by people who actually wonder about the magic of wine, beyond this simple question, do all wines get better with age? This question asks several other questions, so let's answer them simply. Let me start with a little, somewhat personal anecdote. All along my 20-plus year career as a wine professional, I've regularly been asked online or offline about the price of a bottle of wine by people who had found a few old bottles in their grandpa's cellar after a succession, or heard their dads bragging about these 40-year-old Bordeaux and Burgundies and Napa wines he's been storing and treasuring for all those years. The truth, though, is that unlike people, all wines are not born equal. The simple answer to our simple question of the day is no. All wines do not get better with age. Absolutely not. It could even be argued that most wines that are sold every day, the majority of them, won't particularly benefit from aging, at least not 10 plus years or for decades. This is clearly a bit of a myth, probably entertained by wine industry people, sommeliers and wine retailers, maybe to help selling a few more bottles, I guess. There's wine and age-worthy wines. There's a reason we talk about some wines being age-worthy, because all of them are not. It's like everything really. There are degrees of quality in wine, and age-worthiness is one key component to what we call quality. Some things are built to last, others aren't, like a piece of furniture, as one simple example. There's one made in China or Sweden, perhaps made to last 10 or 15 years at best, and there's one hand-built from old oak trees that will serve for centuries. I'll give you that it's less obvious to tell the difference between two bottles of wine, obviously one that can age a lot and one that cannot. It's hard to tell from the outside. But let me shed a bit of a light on how to find out for you here. And let's start with a few wine styles that we all know, you and I, that they're not meant to be aged. Most rosé wines, with rare exceptions really, aren't meant to be aged, and quite frankly don't age very well. Those have delicate youthful flavors that quickly fade away, say within 2 or 3 years max, after which most of the fruity aromas are simply gone, and those otherwise lively wines that we enjoy turn flabby and not very pleasant if you store them for too long. Same goes with most cheap or affordable whites. What we enjoy with those are simple, upfront, fruity, grassy and delicate floral elements to those, and those fade away very quickly. A few white wines can be aged very successfully. Those have generally been matured in oak barrels during the winemaking process. They're made from better grapes to start with, and then somewhat prepared through oak maturation to be more resilient to aging. Aged white wines are less about the fruit flavors, with more spices, nutty notes, walnut, a bit waxy and so on. So we don't expect the same profile from an old white than from a young wine. Some oak-aged Chardonnays, the Burgundies, some white Bordeaux and a few more age really well, and it'll probably be no surprise to you that those rather are on the pricier side of the white wine spectrum. More expensive often means better age-worthiness as far as white wines go. Those were quite obvious and you probably already knew that. So let's talk about reds, where really most misconceptions happen. As a basic rule, essentially cheap reds don't age very well. Let's say that a sub $15 or sub $20 bottle of red wine, just like a rosé or a cheap white wine, is not meant to be aged, because they're all about the upfront fruity flavors again. There's no complexity there to start with, there's no backbone of tannins to sustain the wine, no spine of complex savory aromas. So once the fruit has faded away, after say 3 to 5 years, those wines have nothing left in them. They're shadows of themselves, bones without the flesh on them, wine skeletons, I'm tempted to say, not the enjoyable type you want to spend the night with. When I've had people sending photos of old wine bottles they had uncovered in their grandpa's cellar, as I was saying, more often than not, those were cheap wines, including cheap Bordeaux sometimes. Some old top Bordeaux wines can fetch thousands of dollars after a few decades, but you can also buy very cheap bottles of Bordeaux. Right now you can find one at your local shop for $15, let's say, and a cheap bottle of red, even from Bordeaux, doesn't turn into a $1,000 bottle no matter how long you wait for it, just like a bottle of bottom shelf supermarket Napa wine from 20 years ago is probably really hardly drinkable today, so it's worth nothing to anybody. Wine is magic, but not all have been blessed with a forever young spell. And that's the cheap reds out of the way. When you get into wines that cost $25, $30, $40, $50, there you can start expecting more resilience out of your vino. All wines are not going to be equal in there, but generally speaking, most of those are going to be quite serious vinos. They would have been aged in some oak, been treated particularly well during the winemaking process, selecting vineyards from top quality soils, less mass production techniques as well, lower yields from the vineyards, more concentrated, more balanced wine. So you can taste some spices in there beyond just the fruit, some earthiness, a bit of coffee, a bit of toffee, a bit of oak, essentially. They're not only about the fruit flavors, so they're going to last for longer. Once the fruit has dissipated, which will take longer because they're more balanced to start with, when the fruit has gone away, well, you will still retain some interesting, delicate features into the wine. The earthy characters, the toffee, the cooked fruit, the meatiness, all of this will remain after some aging. So you can expect mid-range reds to age really well and remain pleasing for around 10-15 years or so. Often actually they will get a little smoother and quite a lot better after 10 years because tannins get softer and the complex savory background intensifies, the wines open up and bloom. A $40, $50 bottle of Bordeaux, for example, is considerably better after 10 years of aging. That's proven. Doesn't need to be the most expensive wine to get better for 10 years. Then are the expensive wines, say above $50, although there's no really hard threshold there. When you get into this category, generally you're not only paying for a nicely crafted bottle of wine, you're not paying only for the barrel aging, you're not only paying for the vineyard selection and all the process, you're also paying for the reputation of the producer. You're paying extra because this estate has been making high-end wines for many years, and it's been proven by time in the past that this particular winery's wines do get better with age. People have tasted all vintages of this cuvée. Critics have reported how good they become after 10, 15, 20 years or more. The producer knows it. Connoisseurs know it as well, therefore those wines command a premium for age worthiness. You pay for when you purchase a bottle of that wine. The price of a winery's reputation, the price of vintage consistency as well. And this is exactly, precisely why the price of a wine is well correlated to its age-worthiness, because the market goes up for wines that have proven they can age really well. This precise correlation of price and aging potential is why I talk here in this very video about a wine's quality being related to price. But now to the $1 million question: why certain wines age better than others? The truth is, we don't exactly know. At least scientifically, we haven't found like one molecule in particular that would render wines more suited to aging well. We haven't even found a combination of molecules. Some have pointed to the concentration of tannins, because tannins are antioxidants, so they protect the wines from oxidation and aging, right? But some Pinot Noirs, which are very light in tannins, like Burgundy, for example, can actually age fantastically for decades. We all know that. We've tasted that. A lot of us have. It's proven. So tannic concentration is not the answer there. It seems, to put it simply, that balance is the key here. Some wines have a particular chemical balance: the body, the acidity, the type and structure of their tannins, the oaky aromas, the fruit flavors, the thousands and thousands of molecules in their composition form a harmonious whole. They all work together in balance. Think of the engine of a car as a comparison. If every component is precisely engineered and precisely crafted, the engine will last forever. But if one shaft sticks out, well, the engine will break at some point. Those balanced wines not only taste better today thanks to their coherence, but they will also age better. They will better with age. They will do, because of this balance. Unfortunately, we haven't cracked the code, the equation that explains age-worthiness, but we know simply from experience that certain wines made on certain soils, from certain vineyards made with higher winemaking standards and finer oak, etc., essentially those mature more favorably. And there is a secret there. But not because sommeliers and wine professionals or researchers have been hiding the truth from you, but because wine has been keeping this a secret to us so far. We know empirically how to make great wine, but we don't really know why. And on this final note, I'll leave it here for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon in the wonderful world of vino. Cheers.